Every man remembers the moment he stopped feeling like himself. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens in small silences. In the way his voice gets quieter in conversations that used to matter. In the way he starts saying it's fine when it isn't. He looks alive on the outside. But inside, something's shutting down. Not from weakness, from exhaustion. The kind that comes when you keep giving without being seen. He used to care too much. About being good. About being chosen. About doing things right. Every time he fell, he got up. Every time he was told he wasn't enough, he tried harder. And one day, without even noticing, he became everything everyone needed and nothing he recognized. That's the quiet breaking point no one talks about. The moment a man's soul starts whispering, "I can't keep doing this," he doesn't hate anyone. He's not bitter. He's just tired of performing, tired of loving in ways that feel like labor, tired of proving his worth in rooms where it's never respected. So he starts to pull back. At first, people call it distance. Later, they call it detachment. But it's neither. It's survival. It's a man realizing that peace isn't found in being loved. It's found in not needing permission to rest. And that's where the story begins, not with anger, but awakening. The moment he stops chasing love that drains him and starts walking toward the silence that heals him. Number 1. The moment everything quieted. It didn't end with a fight. It ended with silence, the kind of silence that doesn't hurt anymore. One morning, he just stopped waiting for a reply that never came. The phone stayed on the table, face down, untouched. He didn't even notice when hours passed without a vibration. The habit of checking, of hoping, of trying. It just slipped away, quietly, like smoke leaving a room that's finally still. He wasn't bitter. He was tired in a way that didn't need to be explained. Years of overextending, of proving his worth in places that mistook his loyalty for weakness, it all caught up to him. He used to think love meant staying until it worked. Now he understands that staying too long in the wrong place only teaches you how to disappear from yourself. So he left, not her, not love, but the version of him that kept begging to be seen. There's a strange peace that comes when a man runs out of energy to pretend. The world goes quiet, and for the first time, he can hear his own thoughts without interruption. No mixed signals, no subtle guilt, no more guessing what version of himself will be accepted today. Just him raw, unfiltered, breathing easy in the aftermath of noise. He used to fear that silence meant loneliness, but now he sees it differently. Silence isn't empty, it's honest. It's the space where he can finally tell the truth to himself without apology. The truth that he didn't fail. He simply refused to keep performing for love that didn't see him. And in that truth, something inside him settles. No drama, no explosion, just stillness, like the ocean after a long storm. He didn't lose her. He found peace. He didn't stop caring. He just stopped bleeding for connection that never bled back. Number 2, when he stops explaining. There's a moment every man reaches, the moment he stops explaining himself. Not because he's closed off, but because he's done trying to justify what his silence already says. He used to believe that being misunderstood was something he could fix with more words, more effort, more softness. But after enough times being twisted, ignored, or turned into proof that he didn't care enough, he finally understands explaining yourself to someone committed to misunderstanding you is just another form of begging. Now, when she asks why he's distant, he just smiles a little. Not out of smugness, but because the question no longer stings. He knows distance isn't always rejection. Sometimes it's recovery. Sometimes it's the only way to breathe again. And for a man who's lived years suffocating under expectations, breathing feels better than belonging. He used to talk about everything: his fears, his dreams, his past, hoping honesty would build closeness. But closeness without respect is just vulnerability waiting to be used. So now, he keeps more to himself. He lets silence answer for him. Because silence can't be misquoted. It can't be weaponized. It just stands there, calm, unmoved, untouchable. People will call him detached, maybe even cold. They'll say he doesn't open up anymore, but they'll never understand the quiet strength it takes to walk through the fire of misunderstanding and still choose peace over validation. He doesn't explain his boundaries, now he lives them. He doesn't announce his peace, he embodies it. And that's the irony of it all. The less he explains, the more he becomes understood, not by others, but by himself. Because sometimes a man's silence isn't distance, it's clarity. Before we jump into lesson 3, take a moment to do me a small favor, hit like, subscribe, and share this message. Your simple action can help more people who are struggling with this issue find the content they need. Thank you for being a part of this. Number 3. The weight he finally put down. It used to live in his chest, that heavy, invisible weight he couldn't name. The pressure to always show up first, fix what wasn't his fault, hold Imbawa did everything together even when he was falling apart inside. He thought that was strength, thought being the dependable one would earn him peace one day. But all it did was drain him. Every apology he didn't owe, every smile he forced to keep the peace, every moment he swallowed his truth so someone else wouldn't feel uncomfortable, that was the weight. He carried it so long, he forgot what lightness felt like. He thought exhaustion was normal, that love was supposed to hurt a little. But one day, he looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the man looking back. The fire in his eyes had gone dim, not because life broke him, but because he'd been burning for people who only wanted his warmth, not his flame. That's when he knew something had to end. Letting go didn't look heroic. It looked like sleeping through the night for the first time in months. It looked like turning his phone off and realizing no one worth keeping disappears just because he's not available for a few hours. It looked like saying no softly, without guilt. He stopped being afraid of disappointing others. He started being afraid of disappointing himself again. Peace didn't show up as a grand revelation. It came slowly, like dawn through a cracked curtain. The kind of peace that comes when a man stops explaining, stops performing, and just exists in the quiet rhythm of his own life. He realized he didn't have to be everything for everyone. He just had to stop being nothing to himself. And when that weight finally dropped from his shoulders, he didn't run or celebrate. He just stood there still, grounded, feeling something simple he hadn't felt in years. Freedom. Because real peace doesn't come from control, it comes from release. Number 4. The rebuild. After the silence, after the weight fell, came the rebuilding. Not the loud kind, no big moves, no revenge, no declarations, just small, steady acts of reclaiming what he lost while trying to be everything for everyone. He started fixing things that didn't scream for attention: his sleep, his focus, his word. He began showing up again, but this time for himself. There was a strange satisfaction in it. Not pride, not ego, just a quiet sense that he was finally building something that couldn't be taken from him. Mornings became sacred. Coffee, stillness, breath. The kind of simplicity he used to rush past now felt like ceremony. He trained, not to impress, but to feel his own strength again. He worked, not to prove his worth, but to see how much he could create when no one was draining his energy. Even the loneliness softened. It stopped feeling like punishment and started feeling like protection. He noticed how different peace feels when you earn it. No longer fragile, no longer dependent. It's not built on someone else's attention, but on discipline, the kind that says, I don't chase chaos anymore. His peace became his backbone. It changed the way he moved, the way he spoke, the way he chose. He no longer explained his calm to anyone. He just carried it, like armor you can't see, but everyone can feel. Sometimes he'd think about the past, the chaos, the noise, the endless proving, but it didn't hurt anymore. It felt distant, like a movie he once starred in, but no longer recognized. He could watch it now without resentment, without longing, because he understood the lesson. Peace isn't found by escaping people. It's found by no longer needing their permission to exist. He's not hiding. He's not waiting. He's just living quietly, intentionally, freely. And in that simplicity, he found something he never knew he was missing. He stopped chasing happiness. He built it. Number 5. The return to himself. At first, solitude felt like withdrawal, like stepping away from the world and leaving something unfinished. But over time, it started to feel like coming home. He realized he hadn't been himself for a long time. Too many versions of him had been molded by expectation: the good man, the safe man, the dependable one. All those masks wore him down until his reflection was a stranger wearing his name. Now, there are no masks, just a man, quiet in his own presence, learning to trust himself again. He doesn't flinch at silence anymore. He listens to it. He doesn't fill it with noise or chase distractions that numb him. He lets the stillness stretch, because in that space, he finally hears his own voice, low, calm, certain. The kind of voice that doesn't beg to be believed. The kind that doesn't need an audience. He begins to remember what used to light him up before approval became currency. The music he stopped playing. The dreams he shelved. The long drives with no destination except peace. He rediscovers those pieces of himself like old friends, familiar. Patient, waiting for him to return. He learns that fulfillment isn't something you find in someone else's eyes. It's built quietly in the hours no one applauds. And as he rebuilds, something subtle changes in him. The tension in his shoulders fades. His laughter sounds different, slower, fuller, real. The world hasn't changed, but his relationship to it has. He doesn't rush anymore. He doesn't chase. He moves through his days with the calm of a man who no longer seeks to prove anything, because he finally believes what he once doubted, that being at peace isn't weakness, it's mastery. He's no longer trying to be chosen. He's choosing himself, again and again, until it's no longer a decision, it's his nature. Because the man who returns to himself stops looking for home in anyone else. Number 6. The quiet strength. There's a different kind of strength that shows up after the noise. It doesn't flex. It doesn't shout. It just is. The kind that comes when a man has nothing left to prove, not to the world, not to her, not even to himself. He walks differently now, slower, grounded. Not because he's tired, but because he's no longer rushing to arrive anywhere. He's already where he needs to be. He's learned that calm is louder than confidence. That presence outlasts charm. That when you stop seeking validation, you start commanding respect without asking for it. People notice it, not because he tries to be noticed, but because real peace has a gravity of its own. It pulls the right things in and lets the wrong things drift away, effortlessly. He doesn't argue anymore, doesn't chase closure, doesn't replay old wounds. When someone misunderstands him, he lets it stand. When someone leaves, he doesn't follow. There's power in that kind of restraint, not born from pride, but from peace. Because a man who's found himself doesn't fight for attention. He protects his energy like sacred ground. Even love feels different now, softer, slower. He doesn't need it to rescue him or complete him. If it comes, it must arrive in peace, not chaos. He's not afraid of connection. He's just unwilling to trade his balance for it. That's the difference. He used to think strength meant holding on. Now he knows it means knowing when to let go without losing yourself. He doesn't hate anyone. He doesn't blame anyone. He simply accepts what is, what was, and what never will be. And in that acceptance, he becomes untouchable, not invincible, but grounded, not cold, but clear. Because the strongest man is the one who can stay kind without being conquered. Number 7. The woman who doesn't fear his calm. Eventually, she appears not the one who demands attention, but the one who understands silence. She doesn't fill every pause with questions, doesn't mistake his quiet for disinterest. She can sit beside him and let the air stay still. Her peace doesn't compete with his, it syncs with it. He recognizes that immediately, the rare calm of someone who's also been through the noise and chose not to become it. She doesn't want to fix him, doesn't need to test him. She respects the distance that made him whole. When she speaks, it's soft but sure, like someone who knows the value of words. He listens, not because he's trying to impress her, but because her energy doesn't demand performance, it invites presence. With her, he doesn't shrink. He doesn't guard every sentence. He simply is, and that's enough. Their connection doesn't rush. It breathes. No roles, no auditions, no unspoken power games. Just two people sitting in the quiet, aware that they've both fought similar battles in different skins. They don't call it love yet, they call it peace, shared between two survivors who finally stopped surviving. And maybe that's what love is supposed to feel like when it's real. Calm, steady, whole. She never asks where he's been. She just notices how he carries himself, like a man who made peace with his solitude and isn't afraid to lose her to keep it. That kind of man doesn't chase, he attracts by simply being complete. And that kind of woman doesn't run. She stays because she's done performing too. They meet in that middle ground, where peace recognizes peace. No past to fix, no future to control, just the present still, unforced, alive. Because when a man finds peace and a woman respects it, love stops being a battle. It becomes home. He doesn't speak about it much the years it took to get here. The quiet rebuild no one saw. People think peace is just calmness, but he knows it's something else. It's choosing not to reopen doors that lead nowhere. It's waking up without the urge to prove, without the fear of being unseen. It's the realization that happiness isn't a feeling, it's a state of being undisturbed. He moves through the world differently now. Not hardened, not detached, just deliberate. Every step, every word, every silence has intention. He forgives easily, but not to reconnect, to stay free. He lets people talk, judge, misunderstand, because none of it reaches him anymore. He's learned that control isn't about dominating life. It's about not letting it dominate you. Sometimes he catches himself smiling at nothing, just the quiet satisfaction of knowing he didn't lose himself chasing things that never cared if he was found. The world still spins the same way, still loud, still demanding. But he walks through it untouched, carrying something the noise can't touch: clarity. The kind of clarity that comes from being broken open, then rebuilt from truth instead of approval. He no longer calls solitude loneliness, he calls it alignment. He no longer waits for love to prove his worth. He became worthy the moment he stopped needing proof. The chaos that once defined him has become the contrast that shaped him. And in that contrast, he finally sees himself clearly, not the man the world told him to be, but the one he was always meant to become. When he looks in the mirror now, there's no fight left in his eyes, just stillness, just truth. He doesn't crave to be chosen anymore. He's already chosen by his own peace. He didn't lose himself. He just stopped being available for chaos. If these words found you in a quiet moment, stay. There's more to uncover, more truth buried beneath the noise. Follow this journey not to become someone new, but to remember the man you were before the world told you to forget. Because peace isn't found, it's reclaimed.